We're still celebrating Black History, Women's History Month. We're still celebrating Women's History Month. But did you know Black and brown people across the world are reconnecting to their roots and redefining their relationships to the land by gardening and farming? And Black Gardener Talk is dedicated to sharing those voices to inspire all people of color, even some that don't look like us, to grow by any means necessary. But sometimes we just need our own safe space to talk. Good morning, I'm Kamani Anku, and this is Black Gardener Talk. And my guest today is Taryn Graham, so in the city. Let's get it popping, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Yeah, let me get Taryn in the room. She's here, fresh and ready. Hey, what's up?
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. When you go live, sometimes it's just crazy. I said Black History Month, Women History Month, got it all confused, right?
Yes, I'm so happy to be here today. I really haven't gone live more than like maybe once or twice. I don't even know.
Okay, yeah, it's always a good thing. You know what I'm saying? I love going live. I think I built my followers based off going live. So
Yeah,
I like to go live a lot. I try to be consistent every Saturday, no matter what. If I'm feeling down, feeling good, whatever, I
yeah,
gotta get on and do it. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
And that's good because I always tune into Black Gardener Talk. Like, I love this.
That's what's up. So let's get into it. What
Okay,
is your first memories of gardening?
my first memories of garden. Okay, so this is always so interesting when I tell people this, but I personally was never one to be like in the garden when I was younger. That was never my thing. I was always like inside doing other stuff. But in regards to like my memories of family members gardening, I know for a fact that my grandparents, my mom's parents, they used to grow tomatoes on the side of their home. Like they have like just a little a patch, I guess, a patch of grass, and they have their fence, and they would just plant tomatoes. And I would always go over there like in the summer, and I would be like, "Granddaddy, are your tomatoes ready? Like, are they ready yet?" And so I remember that. And I just remember my mom having a beautiful flower garden in the front yard.
That's
So
what's up.
she would just always grow just beautiful perennials and beautiful flowers. And I would always say, like, I love that. Like, she would have her elephant ear out in the front, you know. So I think that's really the biggest memory that I had. It wasn't necessarily me being in the garden, but me observing my family members doing what they wanted to do in regards to gardening.
That's what's up. Did any of your neighbors have gardens? Did any of your friends' parents have gardens?
So my neighbor, I don't remember one of my friend's parents having a garden, but my neighbor, and she still lives on my street now. She had the most beautiful, and still does, have the most beautiful backyard flower garden that I have ever seen. It is stunning. It's like that. I think, if I'm being honest, that was probably something that stayed with me as a child as well. Besides my mom and my grandparents, was her garden. It's like a backyard oasis. It's just, she has flowers everywhere, like on her fence line, everywhere in the yard. You kind of have to like duck and cover when you're walking through her garden.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's more so flowers though. It's not really like a lot of
Food.
fruits and veggies. It's more so flowers, but it was beautiful, and that stayed with me a lot.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with flowers in the yard. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So what got Taryn into gardening? What made you, after all these memories, growing up as a child and then becoming an adult, what made you want to grow your own food?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixture of two things. So the first was my grandmother, my dad's mother. We called her Mom Mary. She had all of a sudden just gotten sick very quickly. Well, I won't say that. So she had been diagnosed with dementia. And if I'm being honest, I kind of remember like seeing her, mindset slowly decline over the years. But on top of being diagnosed with dementia, she also was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, during her time, even though that was kind of a sad time, so many beautiful things came out of that because my grandmother had a caretaker who basically stayed with her like mostly during the day until the evening. And her
Mm-hmm.
caretaker was so nice. Her name was Miss Orlinda. And she would always talk to my mom and I and my sister just about just health and wellness and herbs, because she's an herbalist
Okay.
as well, a caretaker and an herbalist. And she would always just talk to us about how she's growing these herbs in her garden. And she would bring us some herbs like cilantro and all types of herbs. And she would cook us meals with the herbs and the vegetables that she grew. Like she would infuse them in her meals.
Oh,
She
wow.
made fried rice using some veggies that she grew to put in the fried rice. And things like that, just I thought that was so amazing how she could just grow amazing herbs and fruits and veggies like bell peppers and onions and greens and just cook with them and make delicious recipes that were also nutritious. And that really stuck with me. And so after my grandmother had passed, I asked Miss Linda, I said, can you help me to make my own garden? Because, and I don't know how that, like, I don't know really what made me just want to just jump out immediately and say, I want a garden. I try to think about that. Maybe it was my grandmother's presence just
Speaking
like
to you.
inspiring me.
I
Yeah,
believe she
like,
might have been speaking to you.
yeah, she must have been because all I know is I was ready. Okay. After my grandmother had passed and a few weeks had gone by, I was like, okay, I need a garden. And another reason that I think may have played a role in this was I have, I think I told you I have struggled with a few health issues, mostly thyroid disease and fibroids. Those two kind of go hand in hand.
Yes.
And just when dealing with those issues, obviously you kind of think, okay, what can I do to try and make positive changes to my diet? Because I don't want to make it like restrictive, but I just want to say, what can I do to make positive changes to my diet? And not just my diet, but my mindset as well. Because being diagnosed with like thyroid disease and fibroids can be so stressful. I needed a way to not only add nutritious fruits and vegetables to my diet, but to also give me a way to just release,
Yeah.
just to escape from everyday life, using phones all the time and just release. And I thought, what a better way than to garden? So I
That,
think those were the biggest things.
that's what's up. I mean, we have almost kind of like similar stories, you know what I'm saying? But that's a great thing that you change your diet and change your health by growing food, and that's the key. And that's my whole mission of me and Gardening Beats. I mean, it's gardening and it's music and it's eating healthy, but it's also changing the mindsets of people so they can be healthy. Our people be healthy. Brown and black folks be healthy.
Yes.
And if some that don't look like us take advantage of it, hey, the information is here. That's what it's
Yes.
all about. So, where was your first garden? Did you always garden in your backyard, or did you have another garden somewhere else?
My first garden was honestly my first garden to myself is in my backyard. Um, I had a few flowers in the front, but that wasn't something that I really like took care of, I guess. But the backyard garden was my very, very first garden. And the reason why I put it in the backyard, I guess, was just because I'm so grateful to have a really good sized backyard because
Yes.
I live in an area of Memphis where honestly people don't really have big backyards, and I'm so grateful that I have. It's a wonderful backyard. It's a good size. I said, hey, let me just put some stuff back here. And we didn't do a lot. It was just a few veggies that we put in the garden. And that was that. But I think I did grow like some herbs once in a windowsill in my kitchen windowsill. I think
Hmm.
I did that once before.
And y'all, she got a beautiful garden. If you have not been to her pages, she has multiple pages. You got to see her garden. It's snowing there today, and it's snowing here in DC. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always be waiting to put my stuff out because I know that March snow gonna come. This
Every
dog is bothering
March.
me right now.
I don't know what I don't know what it is about March. When I say every March, I could think back to when I was a kid in elementary school. It was March. Something always happens in March. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it always happens. And I knew it. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting a new strawberry patch thing
Yeah.
outside on the railing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put my strawberries out this weekend. Mm-mm.
No.
No. But what was your first garden mistake? Was it going too big or too small?
I can name I can name like 10 mistakes.
Let's name them. We got time.
Oh, okay. The first big mistake that I've made was, okay, so I think it's called a lemon cucumber. They're like those small, it's like a small yellow thing, which is,
Hmm.
I guess it's a blend of literally a lemon and a cucumber. And when my dad and I first started gardening, we were just like, we want to do everything. We would be like, listen, let's get this, let's get this, let's get this, let's get this, let's get. We would literally just, why not? Okay, so we were in Home Depot because I have a Home Depot close to me. So that's just where I normally got my starters. Now I try to grow from seed, but before I was trying to just do transplants. And so we just randomly saw this thing called a lemon cucumber. It was a transplant. My dad and I didn't even know what a lemon cucumber was. We were like, hey, let's grow it. Why not? Okay, we grew it. And when I tell you, first of all, we planted one lemon cucumber transplant. I'm not even kidding. We got almost 100 lemon cucumbers off of that one transplant. I'm
Yes.
not even over exaggerating. It's not 100, very close to it. So, first of all, what are we going to do with all these lemon cucumbers? What? How can I eat all these lemon cucumbers? Like, we were just giving them away. Hey, do you want a lemon cucumber? Hey, do you want a lemon cucumber? I'm like, I should have did my research first of all when it came to, okay, when you plant a transplant, you need to know how much does this plant typically produce, right? Because
Yeah.
some plants can produce more fruits than others. But that really wasn't the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake was after were done with the season, right? We were clearing the garden for the fall and the winter. Um, and my dad was just, at the time he tilled the garden, we don't really use a tiller anymore, but at the time, he tilled the ground in between seasons. And so we thought we had taken all the lemon cucumbers out the ground. And so my dad started to till the ground. And
Hmm.
we didn't know at the time, but there must have been one little lemon cucumber still in the ground when he was tilling it. When I tell you, a few weeks later, we had hundreds of little sprouts coming out the ground,
Oh yeah.
lemon cucumber sprouts coming out the ground, hundreds. And I had to pick them up one by one out the ground because they were continuing to grow and grow and grow and thrive. We were about
Hmm.
to have hundreds of lemon cucumber plants. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I don't. So we had to pick them out the ground one by one. It was, and I felt like even though I picked them all, more would show up. It was horrible. Like
Off that one plant. That's
one
crazy.
plant.
So I did similar thing. I never seen a lemon cucumber. I actually grew it from seed, but I threw a whole bunch of seeds because I didn't know. You know,
Hmm.
I'll always take the seed. I'll do the whole entire packet,
Yeah,
and then, like you said, it was cucumbers for days, and I did not know what to do with them.
right.
Which led me to canning, and I
Yeah.
eventually started canning and was able to start canning some stuff. But yeah, that is a mistake we have to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, that was a big mistake. And I think another mistake was just overwatering. And I still have to work on that now. I don't know what it is. I always overwater. Like, and yeah, it was just stop overwatering everything, and especially if you are in a climate where you get water, like rain on a regular basis,
Hmm.
honestly, you may not need to water much at all, right? Um, so that was one thing that I really had to work on, because you can tell when you are overwatering. Like your plants
Oh
just
yeah,
just
definitely.
don't look very healthy anymore, yellow leaves and stuff, and and I still have to work on that. And also, like, don't grow food that you don't eat. Why am I growing eggplants when I really don't even like eggplants? And now I got all these eggplants.
I agree. I mean, when I first started gardening, I was just growing anything and everything just to see if it would grow because
Yes.
I didn't believe my mom. My mom was like, "Yeah, you need a garden." And I was like, it's never gonna grow." So I definitely put a lot of stuff that I didn't eat, but I also learned how to eat those things that I didn't necessarily like eggplant. When
Mm-hmm.
I first had eggplant, I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it wasn't cooked right, and I decided to grow it again, and now I love eggplant. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to make a meat substitute with. Desert
Really?
Van Bond said, make sure you leave some of those cucumbers at the truck stop if you ever grow those again.
I don't think I'm a girl that lemon cucumbers again. I love cucumbers, but just not lemon cucumbers. Like,
Yeah, and it's funny because I grew some this year. I saw because I had that same problem before, so I was like,
yeah.
I'm not going to grow it again. And so I was like, and so I skipped a year, and I was like, oh, I need some. But this year they did not produce as well, and so
Really?
that was crazy for them not to produce like they did before. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna take them to work. I'm gonna the church was outside my house during the pandemic, and they
Yeah.
only had like meat products. So I was like, okay, well, if I get a whole bunch of those cucumbers, I'll put them out for the people who come and get the food off the truck.
Right.
It didn't happen this year. I don't know why. I put it in a new location, so maybe that's what it was. Um, but yeah, from that, I guess from a steak to what was your first garden success? I would say the lemon cucumbers was a success too, but is there any other things that you consider a success that you did in your garden the first time?
Yeah, I would say our first year of gardening, my dad and I, because my dad helps me with my garden a lot, we did really well on our sugar baby watermelons. I think they're called sugar babies.
Yes, the
Um,
little small ones.
yes, the little small ones. We did really well on that, and that was our literally our first time um, planting watermelons. And it was just our second season gardening, and we planted maybe like two plants, and I think we grew them from seed.
Okay.
I want to say that we may have grown them from seed, but we got about 10 of them, sugar babies, and they were really delicious. So I would say that, and then I would also say our tomatoes. Um, Now, I did at the time I didn't grow my tomatoes from seed. I got transplants from a neighbor. He was very kind to give us like 10, no,
Mm-hmm.
like 12 transplants, and they were all heirloom tomatoes. But every one of those tomato plants produced a lot of tomatoes for us, and they were beautiful, so beautiful, red and just juicy, delicious. We had more tomatoes again. We had more tomatoes than we knew what to do with. Um,
Of
and
course.
at that time, like, we didn't really know much about preserving your harvest.
Yes.
Like, so we were just trying to give our stuff away. Like, if we had more than we needed from a harvest, we would just give it to neighbors, give it to family. Do you need some of this? Do you need some of that? So that's really what we were doing. But I would say the sugar baby watermelons and the tomatoes were amazing. Our tomatoes and our watermelons, because they all, like, watermelons can grow everywhere. Their vines will spread. And we didn't have a trellis at the time, so it was just kind of growing all through the ground, like a watermelon patch. And it was so beautiful to see that, just like seeing all these watermelons spread across my yard. It was beautiful. So I would say watermelons and tomatoes.
That's what's up. That is what's up. I love the watermelons, and they do go crazy. They take over.
Yes.
The first time I grew them, they were like, I was like, what the? I mean, it literally like took over my yard, and I didn't have a trellis either. But they did climb up on. Well, I didn't have like I have a 6 foot fence now, but
Yeah.
prior to that, when I grew them, I didn't have a 6 foot fence, so they went over into my neighbor's yard, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, they're gonna be so mad. But then I told them, I was like, just grab one, if they on your
Yeah.
side, just grab one. And they end up now growing food as well. So I kind
Oh,
of inspired them to grow food. But
yeah.
that year it was like watermelons, cantaloupes, and melons all in their yard. Now they have
Yeah.
peaches in their yard. So I have a
Yeah.
6 foot fence now, but the peach tree done went from 3 feet to about 8 feet, 9 feet now, and it hangs over in their yard. So I was just like, grab some
Oh,
peaches when you can.
that's
Um,
awesome.
since there's a lot of people on right now, and some may not have a garden,
Okay.
what advice would you give a new gardener
Hmm.
starting out today?
I would give them, I would give them advice on a few things. One is just to don't compare yourself to other people's gardens. Don't try to be like, don't try and have this amazing, extravagant garden because you saw it on social media. Just think about why you want to garden. Are you gardening for like mental reasons, just because you really just want to get connected to the earth and the environment and give you a way to just escape and relax? Are you gardening because you want to um, have food security? So you want to really maximize the food that you produce out of your garden? Or are you trying to do a mixture of both? And then I would say make sure that you try and get seeds from like locally, because seeds can be very expensive. Um, especially if you shop from like these big companies, like name brand companies. Try and talk to your neighbors and say, hey, can we seed swap? Can we like I'll give you, well, you may not have seeds because you're a new gardener, but maybe you can just talk with the neighbor and say, hey, can I just have some of your seeds? And when I grow my own fruits and veggies, I can give you some seeds back or something like that. Like, try to just locally source your seeds. And honestly, you can even grow things from store bought fruits and veggies, like tomatoes and bell peppers and all kinds of things. So look into
Pineapple.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So, just try to locally source your garden essentials, because listen, these prices can add up. And then the most important thing though is to know your garden zone. So garden zones, basically everyone has a different garden zone, and it really just has to do with your like first and last frost. So um when like in I'm in Memphis, so in Memphis I may be able to start planting my spring fruits and veggies a little bit earlier than someone else who's maybe up north or something
Hmm.
in a different garden zone. So you want to make sure that you go online and you figure out what your garden zone is and when your first and last frost date is. Because you don't want to be planting something that needs to be grown in May, but you planted it in like February or March or something. And you're like,
Yes.
okay, that's not good. So yeah, I would say those things. Yeah.
Spanish Coffee said, "What zone are you in?"
We are in zone 7B.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe I'm in zone 7A or something similar to B or something like that. Sometimes it says 6A, but I believe
Yeah.
it's like around like 7A, 7B. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, that's in DC. So, I mean,
Okay.
Memphis is kind of far from DC, but
Yeah.
it's crazy how they say we're both in the same zone almost.
That's so weird though. Like, we can have cities that are so far away from each other, but we're still like in the same garden zone technically. That's so interesting to me.
Yes. Um,
Yeah.
where where do you spend most of your time in the garden? Is there a place that you like to go and just like sit, chill, watch the sunset, listen to the birds? Is there any place that you like to sit in your garden?
Yes, I like to sit on my back patio. But see, it's so funny because I can do that now because we don't have lots. It's like it's not too humid right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm in the south, so when it gets really hot outside, or when it gets like midsummer, it gets so humid. It is so humid that honestly, it's so hard to even go outside. If it's not early in the morning or like right when the sun sets, I really don't stay outside too long, but I do like to sit on my back patio, and because it kind of overlooks the whole garden, so I could see everything. I could see the fruit trees. I could see my raised beds, my grow bags, my greenhouse. Like I have a view of everything, and I can listen to the birds. You know, I can watch the sunset. Right, so I love that. Like, yeah, that's my favorite, and I want to get like maybe a fire pit or something, because something that'll help me deter the mosquitoes,
Oh yeah.
because they're so bad. They're bad. Like,
You gotta plant more basil. You gotta plant more rosemary. You gotta
yeah,
plant more oregano, more thyme, around the yard. Like
yeah,
in my backyard, I have like basil and all of that stuff. Like completely around the yard. Sometimes I don't even eat that stuff,
right,
or because it's so much. But it definitely
right.
deters the mosquitoes. I always joke about people. Sometimes I say you can come to my house and come to my backyard and be butt naked because the mosquitoes do not bite because it's so much stuff. It's lemongrass back there. It's lemon balm. All of
Yeah,
that stuff. Citronella. Someone says citronella. I have citronella
yeah,
back there, and it does help fight the
yeah.
bugs off. And so yeah, I think fire pits you should get one. The best time, if you haven't gotten one yet, the best time I would say wait until after 4th of July. I work for a
Okay,
big box store now, and so they usually go on sale again around the 4th of July. So
right,
maybe get one, and then you can throw like they have those logs that have citronella in it too,
right.
um, which is a good thing.
Should I plant some herbs on my patio directly?
Yeah, definitely around like the on your balcony. I mean on your patio. You can put it in like pots, like real high flavorful stuff. Um like I said, like a rosemary. And then what you do is like when you come outside, you hit that rosemary or you hit that basil plant or that pot and it opens up the smell of it and then it's like those mosquitoes start running. So every time I
Oh,
go out like my backyard, I definitely hit like the rosemary bush. Um or basil or whatever to release the scent. And
yeah.
it's never like, I'm telling you, it's never like mosquitoes. And I know for a fact because like in my front yard, as soon as you walk out my front yard, it's like you get ate up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Like
And
you
it's
could be outside for 2 seconds and you come back inside like, what bit me?
yeah, in my front yard you can get ate up. I mean, so this year, I'm gonna try to start planting more just herbs and stuff out front, and maybe not even eat those herbs, but just to have it to deter the mosquitoes. Like I do have a big rosemary bush in the front,
Right.
and I kick that every time I go to my car, every time I come out, and it stays there in the wintertime, it never
Yeah.
dies back. It was this little now. It's bigger than me now, and
Wow.
which is really cool. But yeah, yeah,
That's
get some
good.
herbs around the patio,
I
around your
will.
balcony. Everybody who's listening, get those herbs out there. You know, on your front
Yes.
porch, um, mailbox. Maybe put some on the mailbox.
Does your rosemary bush come back in the spring? Like,
Yes, I
okay.
mean, and it actually flowers too. Just like I
Yeah.
think last year or the year before last was the first time I saw flowers on it. I never seen a rosemary bush
Yeah.
flower. But and also lavender folks also have like a pond in my backyard. And so around the pond I do have like lemongrass and lemon balm and
Okay.
that keeps the mosquitoes from gravitating to the water. Um
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
They
so
will definitely go towards that water if you don't put those herbs around it.
yeah, so I'll put the herbs around it. And those usually I don't really mess with. Like the lavender, I do
Right.
put that to create some stuff, like soaps and different things like that.
Yes, I want
But
to start doing that.
I keep that around the pond. Um,
Yeah.
what do you enjoy most about gardening?
The most important thing that I enjoy about gardening to me is just the peace of mind that it gives me. Um, I could tell you, like, no matter what kind of day that I have, it could be a stressful day, it could be just like, just I'm tired. But when I come home from work or whatever, and I go out to my garden, I don't know, it just gives me this boosted, like this energy boost, right? It
Hmm.
just it just does something to me, and it gives me, I just feel so relaxed, and I feel, I don't know, it just it gives me a peace of mind, a calming energy. My mind doesn't like go all the time, because sometimes I'm always thinking about something, right? Just overthinking. And so the only time that my mind can just relax and I'm not just thinking about whatever, is the only time that happens is when I'm in the garden, honestly. And that's why I love it. I can just be one with nature, get my hands in the soil. I love getting my hands in the soil. It's so crazy that I just said that, because I promise you, if I were a child and you would tell me in the future you're going to be a gardener who loves being outside with all these bugs and stuff, I would have laughed at you like, what? I used to hate going outside when I went to my great aunt's house. She lives in Mississippi. But now I love it. And that's the most important thing to me. It's just that peace of mind that I get. I feel so relaxed. I feel so I feel like that's where I need to be.
You
It's
feel
just
at
in,
peace.
yes, at peace. It's awesome. I love it.
And I share those soul sentiments. I'm like, I love my backyard. Before I actually had a garden, I never would be outside.
No.
I would pay people to cut my grass, little kids in the neighborhood. It's just like now I can't stay from outside. Even in the
Yes.
wintertime now, I have like a kitchen in my backyard. I have a dining room area. I got a whole
Yes.
bunch of crazy stuff going on. And I live out in my backyard all year long. I have the heat tents, so I'll turn on the heat tents if I want to be out there in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely love that. I agree. We should be outside more and more and more.
You
And
should do
getting,
like a garden tour. I would love to see a tour of your garden.
I will do a garden tour. I will do. I did one kind of like last year with someone on
Yeah.
another platform, but I didn't just do one for myself. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? I did it for some other people. But
Yeah.
one of the things I really did that was fun, and we'll get into it in a minute. But I had a ladybug release party, and we'll talk about that later on in the broadcast.
Aw.
Which was cool. I'm just checking the comments. It's therapeutic. Someone asked what grow zone we are in. We actually are both in the same grow zone, but
Yeah,
we're in different
70.
states. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
in
in
Maryland.
garden. I'm in grow zone 7B.
Yeah, 7B. I'm 7B too, I believe. 7B or
Yeah.
7A, but
Yeah.
that's in Maryland, and then Taryn is in Memphis.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy, right?
Yes.
We talked about seeds, but where do you buy your seeds from? Like you
Yeah.
personally?
Yeah. So when I first started, I would just get all of my seeds from, truth be told, when I first started, I did mostly transplants. So I didn't really do, buy more seeds, because I was getting actual transplant plants that need to be transplanted. But when I started buying seeds, I just went to Home Depot. Like I said, it's very close to me. So I didn't go to Home Depot as opposed to like Lowe's because of any other reason. Then it's just close to me. But Home Depot has, I can't remember like the different brands, like the actual seed company brands. I think it's
Burpees is
Burpee,
one.
yeah. And there's another one too. I can't think of the
Um,
name, but
I
there's
think it's called
seed something else.
Fairy Morse.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Fairy Morse.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main two that I got. I think I got Fairy Morse a little bit more than Burpee. But that's where I got my seeds most in the beginning, just because when the seasons start to change, like when spring starts to get here, Home Depot would have a big display. And not just Home Depot, but a lot of stores. But I mostly go to Home Depot. So they put out this big display of seeds, of Burpee and Fairy Morse. And you can just look all throughout their little, you know, seed pile, and you'll see organic seeds. You'll see I guess they say organic, and then I guess non-GMO, and you can just go throughout and just look at all of them and figure out what you want. So that's what I did mostly. But now, I go to Johnny Selected Seeds,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to um, sometimes Baker Creek. I check Baker Creek out because they have some of the most amazing varieties of things that I've never even heard of. Like, you'll just see a fruit and veggie variety and you'll go, okay, that's interesting. So that's why I check them out. And their website, it's actually not bakercreek.com. It's like rareseeds.com.
Mm-hmm.
Rare seeds. But my favorite place to get seeds is from my friend here on Instagram. I need to, her handle is mint to grow. Mint to grow. Mint, the number 2 and grow. But I can't remember the actual name of her website. But it's on her, it's in her bio.
Okay.
But Mint, MINT, the number 2 and grow. She has her own seed company, and I've never had a problem with germination from her seeds. Never, ever. All of her seeds germinate amazing. She has a great variety, and she lives in Florida, so that's where I get most of my seeds from. Is her business.
That's what's up. I do work for a big box store part time.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's where I used to get most of my seeds too because I'll just work there, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's like, okay, I'll just grab these. But then like you said, I started seeing people when I got on social media, you know, on my regular social media I wasn't doing growing food, but I have always been growing food. I just my platform was different. But now that I want my mission is to help people grow. I started seeing all these different varieties of stuff, and then I was like, you know what, let me check this out. So yeah, I started looking at like Baker Creek and
yeah,
all these different places to find rare stuff, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like at Home Depot they don't have loofah seeds, you know. I
No,
wanted to grow loofah seeds because
yeah.
I heard about loofah and I had to find loofah through some other means, you know what I'm saying? um
Everybody is growing loofahs. Like, I'm
mhm.
behind.
Yeah, get some loofahs, and don't wait to pick them. Like once they get really big, start opening them up. I did have a couple that were almost like rotten to the point.
Hmm. Hmm.
When I open it, but I still use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I gave them to people to wash their face and different things like that. Um,
yeah,
and also, I did a hack last week on my Instagram where I just took a bar of soap and stuffed it in the loofah. So go on my profile if y'all want to
yeah.
see that, and click on it and like it and share it out because I thought it was a good
Yeah.
hack. But how do you decide what you're gonna grow?
You know, I always decide what I want to grow because I really want to start. When I think of my future, I don't want to rely on a grocery store, right? I don't ever want to just have to rely on going to the grocery store to get the produce that I need. So I'm always thinking about, okay, what do I use the most in my kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, celery and carrots and onion and garlic and um, beans and peas and bell peppers and tomatoes and things like that, and sweet potatoes. And so I really want to start thinking about, okay, but what are you going to use the most in your kitchen to cook? And
Mm-hmm.
that's really where I go to when I think about what I want to grow and what I love eating. Like this year, I'm really trying to grow more peas and beans. I really want to do that. And more fruit too, because frozen fruit is expensive. Fruit
Yes.
in general is expensive. I'm not trying to deal with that. So that's what I really want to do. And also, I want to start making my own herbal teas and stuff, and blending in herbs with my recipes. So this summer, I'm really trying to grow more herbs, medicinal herbs, and flowers as well, nasturtiums and garlic and lavender,
Mm-hmm.
rosemary, and just lots of herb, ginger, turmeric. Like, I'm really trying to grow lots of herbs so that I can also incorporate them into my recipes. So because herbs can also be expensive. You go to
Yes.
very expensive, and I
Nowadays they are.
very and now, I mean, we're dealing with some issues. I don't know what the grocery stores look like in your area, but if I go to the grocery store at a certain time of day, everything is gone. All the produce is gone. Everybody beat me to it. I'm like, well, shoot. Now I gotta wait until they get a new shipment of stuff in. So that's why I'm like, okay, I really need to think about what I want to use the most in the kitchen, what I want to cook with the most, what I like eating, and then the herbal, like growing herbs that I can actually incorporate into my recipes and that I can use medicinally.
That's what's up. Yeah, my grocery store here in Maryland, it fluctuate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some days I remember early on, like around January, was nothing in the store. No meat. I don't really eat a lot of meat anyway,
Me
but
neither.
no meat. There was no fruit. It was no dairy. It was just crazy going into the store and it's like, okay, what do I need to buy? But I'm growing mostly everything. I grow 45% of my own food now, so I don't really need a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I was like,
Yeah.
man, these stores are empty. But then I went to, I would say, like the international stores. We have a lot of international stores. They were fully stocked. So I'm thinking
Yes.
maybe they deal with a lot of local farmers probably, or they have some
Right.
other resources that the main grocery stores don't have. But yeah, I
Right.
think we should grow more herbs, more fruit. What kind of fruit are you growing?
This summer, I'm going to grow. Well, first of all, my dad and I got so many fruit trees because my dad built a greenhouse for me. I'm so grateful.
That's
He
what's
built a
up.
greenhouse. Yes, he built a greenhouse. So now I can grow fruits that aren't necessarily native to my area. Because in regards to like native fruit trees, I have a pear tree, and a peach tree,
Mm-hmm.
and we just got a plum tree the other day. Because my dad, he was in Home Depot and he saw a plum tree. We're like, hey, let's get that. So we got a plum tree, but those are the fruit trees that we have. So obviously, uh, I don't know if like the plum tree will actually give us fruit this year, even though it is starting to bloom. But the peach tree and the pear tree will,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully. And then I also have a wild blueberry bush,
Okay.
um, which I love. I love wild blueberries. I like regular blueberries also, but wild blueberries are so good. So I'm growing that, and then I have an avocado tree, an orange tree, I think a kumquat. I think that's how you say it. A lemon tree,
Yes.
a lime tree, and
You
I
have it
think,
all.
did I say avocado? Yeah.
Yeah, avocado.
Okay. So
So, folks, real quick, let me just jump in. Folks, if you have not bought a fruit tree from Home Depot, you should go out and buy them or Lowe's. But those fruit trees that they sell at those stores are native to your area. So you would not have a problem having them fruit because they're based off your area.
right,
So, for instance, I live in Maryland. I can't really grow avocado trees, so they wouldn't sell avocado trees
right,
at my Home Depot, but some other places might. Now, I could still grow an avocado. I would
right.
just have to have some artificial light or some type of
Greenhouse.
greenhouse. But also, someone said about pollinating. The ones that they usually sell at Depot are usually self pollinators. So
Right,
you just need that one. Now
right.
there are some trees like a pawpaw tree that you might need two, but definitely check out some fruit trees. Add those to your yard. They have some beautiful um, flowers on them, and you can eat those
Beautiful.
flowers as well. If most people don't know, you can eat those flowers. I believe
Yeah.
if your plum tree is blooming, you will have some plums this year.
That would be awesome. I would love that. And I
Yeah,
didn't know you can eat the actual flowers from fruit trees.
yeah, you can eat the flowers. I mean, if well, since there's been a pandemic, I haven't been really fancy. But when I used to throw little fancy dinner parties or brunch parties or whatever you want to call it, or to show off in my yard, I would add like flowers, edible flowers to like the salads
Oh,
and the meals and the vegetables. And people was like, he fancy, he bougie.
that's giving me good. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can get some pansies. There's over 300 some types of flowers that you can eat. You can actually eat rose petals. Um,
What?
what is the marigolds? You can eat marigolds. A
Yeah.
lot of people put marigolds in the yard for bugs and pests, but you can eat all of those.
Can you
Um,
eat nasturtiums?
yes,
Okay.
all the time, all the time. I
Yeah.
definitely like to put it in like when I make cocktails with folks and stuff like that to make it look good. Or
Yeah.
ice. You can make ice, and you can
Yes.
freeze the flowers into the ice, and then
Yes.
you just, and that's just to show off.
Yeah.
Fellas, if you in there, if you want to impress a woman, make some flower ice and give that woman that flower ice. They will love you forever. Um, so try that, fellas. Um, what is the hardest plant you ever try to grow?
The hardest plant, I would say, just like for some reason, herbs besides basil. Basil does good for me, but like rosemary and lavender, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just hard.
I
It's
think
hard.
lavender doesn't like a lot of sun, so the lavender definitely wants like part shaded area. So maybe you should move maybe your lavender to a part shade area opposed to the hot sun. Now I do know rosemary loves the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So maybe you got them flip flop. I'm not sure, but maybe
Yeah.
try moving the
The
lavender to a,
lavender was in the sun. Like it
yeah,
was, so I need to move that.
move that. Lavender likes to stay wet too
Okay.
and moist. Um, don't do well with rosemary either. Yeah, I believe you should move the rosemary to more of a sunny area and the lavender to a less sunny area. Like where
Yeah.
my pond is, there's a lot of lavender and it comes back every year. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it is in a cooler spot. Um,
Yeah.
so your herbs have been your hardest.
Oh, no. Squash.
Tell us about it.
Squash bugs.
Okay.
It's bad. It's gotten so bad that I was scared. I'm like, do I even want to deal with this? Do I even want to grow squash? Like, but I'm gonna try again. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna plant more. Like companion plants around my squash to deter some of those nasty squash bugs because they are very rampant in my area. Squash bugs are here. They're here.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere. And so I'm gonna try to do my companion planting around my squash, my zucchini squash. And I'm also like, we have these, I guess you call it insect netting or whatever, that we put around the raised beds because we grow like we have some raised beds. So we're gonna put that around the raised beds and make sure that it's sturdy. So like maybe that'll help. And use my companion planting, and I'll just have to check my squash like all the time.
Oh yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. I was like, check. It's almost like you gotta investigate like out there, inspecting them every day because once one get on there, it's like if you don't get it and get rid of it, then it's basically over. You know what I'm saying? It's basically over. I remember
I
growing
know.
kale, and I don't grow kale and collard greens that much anymore in the summertime because of the bugs. I try to
Ugh.
grow them towards the wintertime now. But
Yeah.
one time I had these beautiful kale and collard greens, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give my friends some. They ready." And I was gonna bag them up for the people, and then it was looking beautiful one day, and the next day I came out. I mean, they were like
Gone.
gone, like, and they
Gone.
like, "Where's my kale?" It's like, uh,
Gone. Okay.
maybe next time.
Yeah, but see, those insects, it's just squash. Even worse than like the lavender and the rosemary is hard, but squash,
And
it's
some
hard.
squash don't like to be transplanted either. So
Yes.
sometimes if you're growing um squash and you kind of like trying to get like the little plants first, like seedlings, they don't do well once you transplant them in the ground too. They're like often weak, so they love to be like direct. So like just take the seeds out, and they do best like that.
Right.
But you just gotta stay vigilant. And when you're growing all kinds of stuff, you got to check every day. I tell my
Everything.
friends, I check when I have a garden consultation and it's new
Yeah.
gardeners. I was like, you got to go out there every day. If it's you,
Yes.
your wife, your kids, your dog or whatever, you got to go out there every day and look.
Sometimes twice a day.
Sometimes twice a day. But I think also if you build in more herbs around all of those things, which is kind of like a companion planting system, is less bugs as well, and maybe invest in some ladybugs and try to
Yes.
get the ladybugs to come to your yard. That means you need more pollinators, more flowers that ladybugs love. Um, I seen some ladybugs. They actually laid the eggs in my yard this year, and that was the goal. So I
Um,
got like 3,000 ladybugs for maybe $30 off of Amazon. And
yeah.
man, those ladybugs tore up those aphids, all those squash bugs. They tore them up. But the goal was to
Yes.
like build this little sanctuary for them to hopefully like get in there and lay some eggs. And it looks like some eggs are in there. So I'm
That's
really, really
awesome.
excited about that.
Yeah. I will. I will do that. I'm gonna have to look into the putting herbs around my plants and the
Mhm.
ladybugs.
And like I've seen your yard, so like your garden beds, maybe put like one herb at one side of the garden bed and on the other end of the garden bed, and then put the stuff in there, and then
Mm-hmm.
just do that. Maybe have some hanging pots with some herbs in there as well. Um,
Oh,
what is it? Oregano, some hanging oregano.
yeah,
I think it's called tarragon. Have some tarragon. Um,
yeah,
hanging down around. You can get those poles and then you can put like
yeah.
a hanging pot. Um, from your hardest plant to your easiest plant, what was that
The
besides the
easiest
women?
plant for me to grow, it would probably be bell peppers. Bell peppers are pretty easy for me to grow. Um, and I would say, oh, cucumbers. Bell peppers and cucumbers. I yeah, bell peppers and cucumbers. The only thing about bell peppers is, bell peppers really aren't supposed to be harvested when they're green, right? It's supposed to let them, turn whatever color they're supposed to be, like red or whatever, yellow, whatever.
Purple.
So
They got white
yeah,
ones now.
but I have to be patient, and because it could take, like, you could have a nice sized bell pepper. It looks like it's ready to go, but it may not start to, uh, I guess, ripen and change color for weeks after that. And I'm like, really, really, like, hurry up, please. I'm trying to cook with this thing. Hurry up, hurry up. But that's the only thing. But bell peppers and cucumbers are really good for me.
And what is your favorite?
Oh, my favorite, watermelon. I love growing watermelon. That's my favorite. I really love growing everything, but I don't know, something about seeing the watermelon. And I this year though, I want to grow not sugar babies, but like the watermelon variety that's just bigger and longer.
Hmm.
The huge ones.
The regular watermelon. That's
Yeah,
what I know.
just a regular watermelon. This will be my first time growing a regular watermelon. Like, I can't say that. Regular watermelon,
Hmm.
as opposed to the small ones. So that'll be new for us. But I love, love, love growing watermelons, and I love growing bell peppers because it's so beautiful. I like to add more color to my garden. So I just wanted to grow more colorful bell peppers and stuff like that. So seeing it change color is it's just so beautiful to me. Of course, you have to be patient, but
Yeah, be
so
patient.
yeah, and
The
herbs.
purple ones are really beautiful in the yard. The purple ones and the white ones. Try to look those up and get some of
White
those.
bell peppers?
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I've never in my oh my goodness. So
They
do they
taste the
different in
same.
taste?
They
Taste the
taste the
same?
same. Yeah.
It's
I
just
thought it was gonna
purple.
be different. I thought the purple one was gonna be different. Now the purple
Right.
ones may be a little bit sweeter, but the color of them are like beautiful in the yard. Um.
Wow.
Yeah, and the white
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm gonna have to look for me some purple bell peppers.
Yeah. Now I never grown yellow ones, but
I'm
I'm gonna try
trying
to
to grow
grow.
yellow ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow yellow ones this year. Um, but I never grown the yellow ones. I always like the red, the green, and then purple, and then I got some white seeds from someone, and the white ones, translucent looking color ones, but never the yellow ones. I might
Yeah.
not be patient for them to turn yellow, like you said.
Yeah. it's like the patience. You really need that in gardening, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite trick or tip that you have learned along the way?
My favorite tip, just like, you know, when it comes to like seed starting, and you don't always have to buy these really fancy, like, I guess, products that to help you with seed starting. You can just get like a red solo cup, a plastic cup, and
Hmm.
just start your seeds that way. You know, as opposed to like buying all these expensive, just expensive items that some people use when they're trying to seed start. Just get you a plastic cup or even a water bottle, like, and just start seeds that way. Now, of course, you would have to be mindful of when it's time to, um, I guess, repot them or anything like that. But
Hmm.
I guess that's something that I do. It's just like don't always try and spend so much money on these seed starting things. And also, one thing that I'm starting to do more now, is compost, because in the beginning, one of the biggest expenses was just soil, like getting the soil and stuff to fill the raised beds. So now I really want to just start composting and, you know, um, building my own soil, right? My own compost, so that I don't always have to rely on like getting soil from, you know, a big store. I can just make my own compost. And so that's something that I really want to focus on. So those are one of the tips that I would say. It's like, if you don't have a garden yet, and if you're just trying to, um, I guess, get started with the garden, try and see if you can make your own compost, or talk to someone who has compost. It's just, it'll save you so much money, I promise. Cause
Oh, definitely save you money. One of the things that I used to do, how I built up my soil and my compost. Well, I got my compost bin from Aldi's, y'all. Make sure
okay,
y'all looking at Aldi's and Lidl's if you have Littles or Lidl's
yeah,
in your region. Big Lots,
yeah,
Roses, a place called Roses. Check those places out for compost bins. They'll be like cheap. Like
yeah.
my Aldi's compost bin cost me $30. I think it was like $29, and it
That's
is a
good.
60-gallon compost bin.
Yeah.
And that's been in my yard now for 5 years. The only thing I don't like about it is like I have to go and tilt it myself and turn it myself.
Yeah.
But they do have tumblers now. But yeah,
Yeah.
I got mine for like $29.99 at Aldi's. You
That's
should
what I
start
have.
seeing you should start seeing that stuff now in the stores. I know at Big Lots. I showed on my page a raised garden bed. They have a raised garden bed at Big Lots now for $50. It's a 2x2, and that's pretty big. The 2x2 that I got, I thought it was gonna be small, and that's two
Hmm.
feet by 2 feet. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be really small. It's huge. You know what I'm saying? So check out those stores. But I just want to show you the peppers. So those are the white peppers right there.
Okay.
And I'm just looking on the back. They are called diamond peppers.
Diamond peppers. That
Get
is
it?
so cool
Diamond
to
and white,
me.
right?
Yes. That is so cool to me. Okay.
So diamond peppers. These got the purple ones in
The
there. They don't
purple.
have the yellow ones, but they definitely have the orange ones. And
Right.
this is called Sweet Peppers Carnival Blend,
Okay.
and this is from Burpees.
That
Um,
is beautiful.
yeah.
That's
Like
so
I have a
beautiful.
compost bin for $39.99, y'all. They must just got that in the store. Um,
Yeah.
but I got mine 5 years ago. So yeah, invest in a compost bin. All I do is take everything out in the house, all the rotten stuff, throw it in there. Even waste, if I have waste, you gotta be careful with the waste though, because like if you have garden waste, you gotta be careful that those seeds do not germinate inside that compost bin, because then you will have
Yes.
tomatoes everywhere. Usually in
Yes.
the wintertime, you can throw the seeds in there because then they'll freeze up. But tomatoes will reproduce in your compost bin, so be very careful of those. But get a
I've seen
compost.
people that have whole plants growing in their compost.
Hmm. And it's easier because now I never really buy any soil. The only thing that I do buy is I'm into cow manure now, the
Yeah.
black cow. I
Me
bought
too.
some of that. and I have a new raised garden bed, so I did buy a couple bags of dirt just because I got to fill that up. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And in that garden bed, I want to try to grow sugar cane. So this year the goal is to grow
Yes.
sugar cane.
I love sugar cane. Okay, that's awesome. You
Yeah,
always grow the best things.
yeah. I try to grow something different every year, um, just to see if I can grow it. If you hear some sneezing, that's the dog.
You're fine. I love dogs. It's cool.
Look, it's snowing outside, but she really don't want to go outside. But she's
She
acting
don't
like
like the snow either. I don't either.
yeah, she acting like she want to go outside, but she don't really like it.
Uh-uh.
So my last and final question, because we are up to an hour,
Oh,
and I
wow.
don't
Okay.
want to keep you longer than an hour. I mean, a few minutes is okay. Oh, first, if anybody got questions for Taryn, put them in the little question box. We'll take some questions from the folks in there if you do have some questions.
Okay.
But before that, what are your future plans for gardening? What is your future plans for Taryn Graham, So in the City, all that stuff? Holistic. What is that? Holistic Taryn now?
Yes,
Um,
holistically Taryn.
yeah. Tell us about it. What does the future look like?
So I really want to, when it comes to my garden, I want to get more into growing lots of medicinal herbs. And I want to also continue to uh, learn how to preserve my produce, right? Learn all the ways like freezing and blanching and canning. I want to start hot water bath canning and things like that. And just continuing to educate myself because in the future, and seed saving. Those are important to me because I want to start possibly selling my own seeds. Because I really don't like to waste seeds. Like
Mm.
wasting seeds to me is like wasting money. I just can't. So I can't. So sometimes I have more seeds than I need, than I honestly. So I'm thinking about selling my own seeds and starting to make my own herbal products, I guess, herbal teas, using things that I grow. So that's really important to me, and just trying to and having like just a way for where I can help educate people who are interested in having their own garden. Maybe just getting to a point where I can educate people in my community or anyone who's interested in starting their own garden, um, growing their own food, growing medicinal herbs,
That's
learning how to cook the food that they grow, um, and then preserving it, like I said, because there have been times when you grow so many things that you put it in the fridge and just let it just sit there for so long and now it goes bad. So just having a space where I can educate others and on all those aspects and sell my own seeds and sell my own herbal products using things that I grow. So that's really big for me. And as far as holistically Taryn, I really want to use that as a way for me to um, just really because I'm plant based, right? And I've gotten to this point because of health issues that I've had. So that's a space for me to just really help encourage people that have also gone through the similar things, similar issues when it comes to thyroid disease or any autoimmune disease, really. And fibroids. So many women are dealing with fibroids, um, especially Black women. It's just it's hard. So that's a space for me to use to encourage women to just keep going and keep learning on ways that we can better ourselves through mental health and our physical health and what we eat. So I'll be posting lots of recipes, lots of plant-based recipes and herbal remedy recipes and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm looking into.
That's what's up. Encourage everybody to follow Taryn Graham at So in the City and Holistically Taryn. So you can get those recipes, you know what I'm saying? Because, you could do a lot of things. A lot of times people who grow food sometimes tend not to know how to cook those foods. And so that's one of my missions too with Gardening and Beats is to actually take you from teaching someone how to grow the food and then to prepare those foods, whether you plant based or not, and then
Right.
fix it, and while at the same time listening to some dope music. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I
That's a great combination, food and
yes,
music.
right. I play music in my yard, and I invested in outside speakers now, so I have outside speakers. So I play music to the plants out there. But also for you, just the heads up, maybe you should start investing in a dehydrator, um, a grinder, and a
Yes.
grinder would grind up all the stuff that you dehydrate, and
Yes.
a freezer vacuum thingy. I don't know the name of it, but it takes the air. You put it in the bags, and then it
A
sucks
food
all the air.
saver?
Yeah, food saver. Get maybe those three things. I have all three of those. They were great. I dehydrate a lot of stuff. I have a fancy one, and I got one from Aldi's too. That was $29.99. That still worked really really great. The
I need
food
to go
saver
to
I got from
Aldi's.
Walmart, but I have seen food savers in Aldi's and Lidl's. So
Yeah.
make sure y'all checking those websites out or those stores in your if you have those. Roses is another place. Always if you
Okay.
have a Roses, check them out. They have
Okay.
some of the same things. But invest in those so you can start preserving your food. Then you might have to change your kitchen around, build some more shelving, which I did
I
to,
need to.
to put more canned foods in there, my own canned foods.
Yes, my
Um,
own canned foods. Because, like I said, I really, really don't want to have to rely on grocery stores. Like, that's a really big goal for me.
mhm.
Is instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to go in my pantry, you know?
And then we talking. I mean, Desert talked about there's a food shortage coming with the prices of gas coming. He's a trucker, so he knows he's on the ground. But also, um, one thing where we haven't really talked about is Ukraine. Do you know Ukraine um, produces the largest amount of grains, which is like flour and different things like that. So we need to start trying to start learning how to grow our own grains or take
Yes.
chickpeas, grow a lot of chickpeas and make chickpea flour because I mean, if this war thing's still happening in Ukraine in the next couple of months, we're gonna be short on flour if you use flour in
Yeah.
any products. So
Yeah.
and then you can dehydrate the the beans and then you can grind them up and you can make flour.
Yes.
You can also make cauliflower flour. You can make collard green flour. You can do
Yes.
all of that stuff. You know, it just takes your imagination and
Right.
do it because we might be short on that flour if you use flour. You know what I'm
I
saying?
saw Gardening Under Influence, Erica, she mentioned that. And I was
Hmm.
like, what? I had no idea that they produce wheat and flour and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like almost like 40 to 50%, and we get that. It's exported
Right.
to us. You know what I'm saying? So they go down. You know, what are we gonna do about flour if we take in flour? You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Yeah.
invest in those things. People out there invest in getting a dehydrator, a
And a
food saver,
grinder.
um, any kind of jars. Save your jars like your tomato jars. If you have tomato jars, you can reuse those for canning purposes.
Yes.
Grow your own lemons because lemon juice actually preserves most of that stuff. Most people don't know. You don't have to put salt in it. You can put lemon juice in there to preserve
Ooh.
your tomato sauce or your butternut squash soup or whatever you might be
Oh my gosh.
canning.
I'm learning so much from you. This is good. This is good.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like I said, I'm still learning too.
Yeah.
But I'm always gonna learn. I'm always in school. So yeah, and I want to school the people. But definitely canning
Yes.
is a big thing. Um, Taryn, it's been great this morning. Thank you for getting up early in the morning to do this. I'm a little tired too, but I'm here. I gotta be consistent. That's how I built my fan followers or fans or supporters or whatever you want to call here on Instagram because I try to be consistent and that's my thing. The crazy thing about this is a year ago, I would say I would never wanted to be on live.
Really?
I was scared to be on live, and so many people were embracing Black Garden Talk as well as my show that I do on Thursday called New Soul
New
Thursday.
Soul Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, and people were embracing it, and Black Garden Talk is up for an award, and I'll announce
Oh,
that on
good.
April 5th, and then I'm gonna beg y'all to vote for me. You know, so
Yes. Of
It's
course
also
I
a
will. Of course.
major award. The episode that they chose, I'm not so excited about, but not that it wasn't good. I just felt like I wasn't my best, and I think now that I've been doing it so long and consistently, I feel like I have grown into it. I own it now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I'm not as nervous no more. I can come on here. You know, yeah, I might fumble some words or whatever,
Yeah.
but other than that, I feel like I own it now. You know what I'm saying?
You're
Um,
doing good. You're doing. You're listen. I love both of your shows, Black Gardener Talk and New Soul Thursdays. I love them both. Like
yes.
honestly, I look
And I
forward to
treat them
them.
like shows too. I treat them like shows, and both shows now, or both lives, are booked up until the end of May. So I'll take a break in June because I'm going to Ethiopia to teach people how to garden in Ethiopia, and that's home
Good.
for me. So I'm excited about that. So June I'll be off. You'll see me every now and then on social media, but I'll be
Right.
permanently off. But and then I'm gonna start season 3 of Black Gardener Talk in season 3 of New Soul Thursday. So, folks, if you're a gardener, you're a female gardener, you're a male gardener. Um, Once that email goes out, keep checking my pages so you can see it. And then hit me an email. Taryn emailed me. She was one of the first persons that emailed me. And, and I was like, I'm gonna honor that. You know what I'm saying? Because that is
Thank
a
you.
supporter. That is a real life supporter right there. But next week we still celebrating Women's History Month.
Yep.
Alexis Bumper is gonna be on next week. She's here in DC, and then my girl Vanessa Pierre is gonna end it and close out. Vanessa is like this food advocate. She's doing these food festivals. She's on Capitol Hill fighting for food justice with Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. And she interviewed me last year and got me started. So I was like, I gotta do, return the favor and bring her on my platform since she
Yeah.
helped me and got me into a lot of people's faces, and actually got to speak at a festival that she does around gardening, and I boule mines with some what is it, edible glitter. So I might have an edible glitter class sometime soon for the folks out there.
That's good. I'm excited to see the other Black Gardener Talk interviews.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, the 5-star gardeners, y'all. Go check out the promos. They all did all the promos. They shot themselves, and then I just put it together and edited. It was a really great time seeing those videos come in and putting it together. I really thank you for taking the time to shoot that and then sending it to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It was
Um,
fun.
we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
So I want folks to live their life healthy, free from negativity, and as always, Black people, we gotta stay dope. All right, peace.
Bye.